Welcome to today's virtual session on improving the federal customer experience with the Microsoft Government Cloud. My name is Patrick McGowan, and I'm a modern business applications specialist for Microsoft Federal. This session is for the leaders in our government agencies that are focused on digital transformation in this area, as well as our systems integrators and our partners that support them. Thank you for spending time with us today. We'll spend about an hour on today's topic. Here's a quick look at our agenda. We'll spend just a few minutes on what the main drivers are for improving the federal customer experience. We'll then spend the bulk of our time on the next two topics, strategies for digital transformation and a technical focus on customer experience technologies. Lastly, we'll wrap with summary and next steps. So let's start with what's driving digital transformation. The advances of modern technology is causing a shift in societal behavior. People are able to address most of their daily needs from any place, anytime, and on any device. This phenomenon has also had an impact on federal customers. Just as in the private sector, federal customers are more discriminating than ever, and they have a higher expectation of the usability and reliability of federal government's most critical digital services. Whether applying for unemployment benefits, receiving health and human services support, or requesting public housing assistance, citizens routinely interact with 20th century systems with their government services, while benefiting from 21st century systems in their daily lives. When it comes to federal, state, or local government providing benefits and services to citizens, the experience can often be underwhelming and frustrating. Unfortunately, government agencies are really struggling to meet those rising expectations. To remedy this situation, the Office of Management and Budget has released the fiscal year 2019 President's Management Agenda, otherwise known as the PMA. It provides a roadmap to improving the customer experience with federal services. The PMA highlights three primary drivers of transformation: IT modernization, data, accountability, and transparency, and people, workforce for the 21st century. At Microsoft, we're excited to be able to support this roadmap to transformation. We believe technology, leveraged in the proper way, can have a very positive influence on each of these drivers. More specifically, the PMA has identified what they call the CAP 4 goal of improving customer experience with federal services. This goal is for federal agencies to provide a modern, streamlined, and responsive customer experience across government, comparable to leading private sector organizations. As you can see, I've highlighted the two key strategies where Microsoft can play a transformational role: improving digital services and modernizing customer experiences for high-impact federal programs. So as we discussed, we'll break up today's discussion into two parts. The first part will address how Microsoft aligns to the primary drivers as described in the PMA, really just to provide an overview of our overall digital transformation approach. The second half of today's discussion will focus on the specific strategy of improving the customer experience with federal services. It'll be a bit more technology and product focused. We'll have some demonstrations in this part of the discussion as well. But first, how does the Microsoft Government Cloud support the drivers to digital transformation? This is the Microsoft Government Cloud at a high level. Let's start with the people workforce for the 21st century driver. Our productivity tools provided by Office 365 is in use by almost all federal agencies today, and they have been for years. We feel it's important to bring this concept of using the same familiar, easy-to-use tools to the mission-critical applications government employees are using today to service the federal customer. Second, the data, accountability, and transparency driver is fundamentally reliant on the security of data and processes. Here, Microsoft is the only vendor that has FedRAMP High accreditation for its infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service technologies. In fact, we spend over $1 billion annually just on cybersecurity. So you can see this is a real focus for us. And lastly, IT modernization. This is a big one. It's great to talk about modernizing IT, but in today's landscape of declining budgets and failed projects, cost effectiveness of this technology is extremely important. And Microsoft is incredibly cost competitive with our products. For example, Dynamics 365 is typically 40% cheaper than our competition. Also related to IT modernization is the ability for the business to leverage technology to tweak and even build capabilities that don't exist today. At Microsoft, we have a history of enabling technical people to build applications. But now, with the Power Platform, we're providing that capability to an even broader audience as business folks can use this platform to build apps. So Microsoft continues to invest in our Microsoft Government Cloud services to deliver these powerful, cost-effective, easy-to-use experiences across Office 365, Dynamics 365, and Azure. And we feel that the centerpiece for digital transformation is the Power Platform. Let's see why that is. If the goal is for government organizations to create measurable improvements in customer satisfaction, this can't be performed in a vacuum. Feedback loops need to be used to continually inform business processes, and those processes need to be engineered to constantly look for opportunities to improve. The Power Platform makes it incredibly easy to use these digital feedbacks from customers, employees, operations, and services to go do meaningful transformation. With this platform, Microsoft is fundamentally reimagining business applications and unleashing organizations to provide better services than ever before. And the way we're doing that is by offering an environment that encourages the notion that application development should be a commodity with easy-to-use development tools, a common data service, and the world's leading cloud business analytics solution in Power BI. Because this platform allows our customers to not only capture the data and analyze it, but also take action to improve outcomes. And if that capability doesn't readily exist, quickly add it. And this is really that last mile, that last element of what it takes to truly transform how you engage with your customers, your services, and your employees and operations. In fact, it's the breadth of our platform that is key to digital transformation for a few basic reasons. The first is that whenever you want to go do digital transformation, the easiest way is to go buy an application off the shelf. And with Dynamics 365, we have a plethora of options available to you, which all make it very easy to just take something and quickly change how you actually run your business. Customers can quickly bring apps like customer service, omni-channel engagement, we'll show you that shortly, case management, field service, and so forth to go make an immediate impact on the business. But it's not just Dynamics 365. Office 365 productivity tools snap into those business apps to provide unstructured communication, collaboration, creativity, and other capabilities that relate to and support the daily work that's performed by government employees. The next part, and this is where the platform becomes very important, is that none of these applications are perfect right off the shelf. You have to go adjust them and tweak them to match what you actually need to make your business processes run according to the feedback you're receiving. And the platform is how you go about changing things like the out-of-the-box apps from Microsoft. However, the reality is that there isn't always an app for that. Sometimes you can't just go buy something off the shelf. Instead, you have to go build it. And the Power Platform enables the business and IT together to create these specialized apps easily. This last part of the Power Platform is just as important and a vital part of the feedback loop that will inform your digital transformation efforts. It's the Common Data Service. All of these capabilities are interconnected by an infrastructure or plumbing for your data. This allows you to get all of your data, analyze it with Power BI, build automation with Microsoft Flow, and then go do meaningful transformation because you've broken down the barriers imposed by the countless siloed data and applications that currently exist across the organization. And this is an open platform, so bringing in all of our partners and entire ecosystem to go and build additional purpose-built applications that fill specific voids in the government space is incredibly important. All of this takes advantage of Microsoft's advanced AI technology, which is infused into our applications that automatically light up improvements by suggesting the proper knowledge article or resolution to a case because this problem has been solved many times before. The advancements in AI and what the future holds is just incredible. This, along with Azure services like machine learning, Internet of Things, bot services, and so forth, make the apps that you're using on the Microsoft platform smarter than ever. And together, give you the broadest, deepest set of services for you to go do digital transformation. All of this is provided by the Microsoft Government Cloud. Okay, so that's it for the first part of the presentation. Let's talk about specific technologies. Now that we've discussed how the Microsoft Government Cloud and the entire technology stack can support the drivers to digital transformation as a whole, let's discuss specifically how our customer experience technologies can support the PMA goal of improving digital services and modernizing the customer experience for federal programs. If the goal is for federal agencies to provide a modern, streamlined, and responsive customer experience across government, then we need to consolidate the disparate contact center solutions that exist across many of our federal agencies. This is the only way to provide a modern customer experience. Siloed approaches to customer communications are out, and an interconnected ability to compose relevant and timely dialogue on the fly is in. We all know the problem. Typically, program offices have to work across silos of unintegrated contact center solutions that have probably just grown organically over the years. This creates a situation where the customer has to find their own way to the proper agent, often requiring multiple transfers or even multiple phone calls for a single issue. With a Microsoft-based contact center, customers are provided modern-day omni-channel access to federal services. As you can see from the diagram at the top, customers can start with either Tier 0 or Tier 1. Some folks, like most millennials these days, will start with Tier 0 and go to the website or use a mobile app and maybe solve the problem themselves through a KB article or frequently asked questions. From there, maybe a chatbot is engaged and either suggests a solution because it's integrated with the knowledge base, or gathers enough information to direct the customer to the proper live agent. From there, Tier 1 and Tier 2 agents that have general cross-program knowledge can interact with the customer through either chat, email, phone, SMS, and so forth. And if the issue still needs attention, a warm transfer to a Tier 3 agent with specific program knowledge is engaged. And the proper agent has been engaged because the system has suggested the proper team or queue to handle the request. And the warm transfer happens because the system allows agents to communicate with one another outside of the customer channel. And the system has brought up the customer contact record and complete history of case information and communications. Now, this is a modern customer experience. All of this is provided through our technology stack. So as you can see from the figure at the bottom, true omnichannel from low touch to high touch is integrated with the same system that provides knowledge base, CRM, content management, case management, and it's all infused with artificial intelligence. This seamless integration of the platform components to provide a modern contact center capability is unrivaled in the industry today. For example, as Dynamics 365 provides modern contact center capabilities as a core out-of-the-box capability, collaboration and productivity tools light up through Office 365 integration. Data analytics and dashboarding is lit up through Power BI. The ability to tweak and configure the system is provided by the Power Platform. And last, but not certainly least, advanced artificial intelligence and other compute capabilities are provided by Azure. We're really excited about the level of innovation we brought to this space. Let's take a quick look at some recently released innovations focused on the customer experience. This is a quick 5-minute demonstration that'll provide an overview of our recently released Omnichannel Engagement app for Dynamics 365. We'll have a few more targeted demonstrations in a bit. Welcome to the new Omnichannel Engagement app for Dynamics 365. In this demonstration, we'll review the agent capabilities of this modern, purpose-built contact center application. By default, you get the Home session with 2 tabs. You see here I've got 2 tabs for dashboards that are purpose-built for omnichannel experiences. The agent dashboard is showing 3 streams of information. The first is all of the work items that I'm currently working on. The second is all of the items and queues that I'm a member of. The system has 2 types of distribution models, push and pick. In our scenario, we're using a push model to send chats directly to agents. The next model is pick. Some organizations prefer to have agents pick items off of the queue. And in our scenario, we use the pick model for cases that were created via the Dynamics portal. And lastly, the closed work items show everything that I closed within the last 24 hours. So that's my agent dashboard. I also have an ongoing conversations dashboard. This will display all of the conversations going on in the system right now that are not yet closed. A conversation has various states. For example, when the conversation gets started, it'll be in an open state. When it's offered, it will be in a waiting state until accepted by the agent. It turns active as soon as the agent accepts it. Once the customer has dropped off the conversation and the agent is still working on it, perhaps adding notes or other items, it will be in a wrap-up state. And finally, when the agent closes the conversation, it goes into a closed state and it's written to the common data service. So those are all the different states that we have in the system for conversations. As you can see, other information like the customer name, the queue that it's in, and customer sentiment. We'll show you more later on this. The work stream, I can have SMS, chat bots, and so forth. And lastly, the agent currently working the conversation. So now let's see how the customer experience looks like. This is a Dynamics 365 portal, and you can see the chat widget at the bottom right. This widget is completely configurable. You can change the title, the logo, or even the color. When the user clicks on it, there's a pre-chat survey that is also completely configurable. As I fill out the pre-chat survey, there are 3 things that are happening. It's using the name and other information like email to identify the record in the common data service. Second, it's routing the request based on information like the topic dropdown we see here. And then third, it's identified the next available agent by checking presence and available capacity. So now back to the agent experience. You can see I've received this chat request from John Doe, and once I accept it, I get a session launched for this particular conversation. So the first thing to do is greet the customer, and for that we have quick replies. All of the productivity tools are at the bottom of the chat window here, and they also have keyboard shortcuts, so a /Q will bring up all quick replies. The customer receives the message and can respond back to the agent. You can also see the customer contact record is pre-populated here. Behind the scenes, the system identified the proper record based on the pre-chat information. In this scenario, we found a unique record for John, but if there were multiple, it would have brought up a search experience to find the right record. You can see all of the pre-chat information here. It tells me that it was a chat conversation and how long the customer was waiting and which queue the chat came in on. Not only that, you see all the previous cases for John here. If this conversation was for an existing case, with one click you can now link this conversation to the case. And the moment you do that, you will not only see the case activities but also the customer journey. You can see the entire timeline, providing a single unified view for the agent. You can see we have an email from John, a phone conversation, and basically every touch point with the customer is in this timeline, and it also describes in which channel it came on. So that's a quick look at the productivity tools available to the agent. The next logical thing is for the agent to look for articles that might help solve the problem. That's where we have the knowledge base built right into the system. Here you can search all of the KB articles, open them up, and even send a link to the customer with just one click. So this completes our quick overview of the agent experience for the new Omnichannel Engagement app for Dynamics 365. Thank you. So that was a quick overview of our new Omnichannel Engagement app. We'll demo a few more scenarios here in a bit. Let's first set the stage of how we went about thinking about what a modern customer experience actually means. Our customer experience solution has been built with 4 primary goals in mind. 1, we want to provide intelligent self-service. Secondly, we want to increase agent empowerment. Third, we want to provide solution agility, so you're tweaking the solution to meet your needs instead of adjusting the business processes to software. And then lastly, we want to provide better insights into performance through artificial intelligence. In the area of intelligent self-service, we want to empower customers to solve issues on their own with a public-facing knowledge base or with the help of virtual agents. We also want to be able to proactively deliver personalized experience such as notices, updates, and reminders because the system has a ton of information about the customer and the services they're currently using. And lastly, because operational analytics are lit up through visualizations and artificial intelligence, you know if there are any disruptions in the services your agency is providing. So Chat has been created by combining the power of the 3 Microsoft Cloud technologies together, which is the Dynamics Cloud, Office Cloud, and Azure Cloud. The Chat service is built on the same platform that serves Skype and Teams. The widgets that you get are completely configurable, so you can brand it for your specific needs, and you can also configure pre-chat surveys. For example, for an unauthenticated chat scenario, you may want to configure your pre-chat surveys to ask questions like name, email, and reason for contacting to tee up the agents with as much information as possible. For authenticated chats, you probably don't want to ask all of those questions because since the customer has already signed in, you have that contact information, and this context can be sent to the agent so they receive a screen pop with that contact record as soon as the chat is accepted. So instead, you may want to configure the pre-chat survey to include other information like case number so that the record is also passed to the agent. In either case, the pre-chat survey is completely configurable, and it's an important part to being able to apply intelligent routing rules in the system. You can configure operating hours for call centers that don't operate 24/7. So if the call center is open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, the live chat will not show outside of those hours, but you can configure a chat bot to take requests outside of those business hours. We'll see that in a bit. We also have location tracking, which is important for our customers that need to know where the customer is located so they can be routed to the call center that speaks the same language, for instance. It also might be important to mask certain data in chats like SSN or credit card information, and all of this is also completely configurable. Lastly, once the conversation is completed with the customer, the entire conversation transcript and session information like when the conversation started, its duration, which queue it came in on, agent involved, and so forth, gets stored in that common data service. And you can link it to any record in Dynamics. Most commonly, it's a contact or case record. Chatbot integration is the next logical evolution of a call center that has chat services. When it comes to chatbots, we generally have 2 types of customers, those that want them and those that already have them, and we support both. So as an example, we have Dynamics 365 Virtual Agent. It's in preview currently. That's going to be integrated into this Omnichannel Engagement app in the near future. The Dynamics 365 Virtual Agent has a wizard that allows you to easily design your chatbot for customers to self-serve, and if they can't, escalate it to a human agent. The second scenario is where customers have already built chatbots in Azure, and they may have customized it and integrated it with an existing knowledge base, or they may want to have more power than the virtual agent wizard provides. So for this scenario, we integrate bots with Omnichannel for both self-service and escalation scenarios using a rich set of APIs. And when that escalation happens, the transcript between the customer and the bot gets persisted so the agent understands the entire situation. Not only that, a chatbot is modeled after just another agent in the system. So this means that you can train a bot on a specific topic and assign it to a specific queue. Or train it to field more general questions and have it work across different queues. You can even use the same bot across different channels such as both live chat and SMS. You don't need to have a separate bot for each channel. So those are the bot scenarios that we've targeted. SMS is another channel that's included. It's available today in preview. Both inbound and outbound texts are supported. For inbound, the customer can start texting in a message to reach a chatbot or an agent just like in the live chat scenario. Outbound texts are not only for interacting with the customer request. You might want to use SMS messages to proactively send updates of how a case is progressing or an upcoming event related to a service you're providing. Of course, this is only enabled if the customer opted into this scenario. So that's the SMS channel. Let's transition to empowering agents. As you can see from the list on the right, we've included a ton of features to empower agents. Agent presence allows them to be placed in such states such as available, busy, do not disturb, and so forth, that can be used by the system to determine availability. There's also a concept of default presence. So when an agent signs on, they may want to be initially set to do not disturb so they can review the current work items and other cases. And when they're ready, switch presence to available, and then the routing engine will start sending them new chats. Notifications essentially means that there's a separate pop-up toast message that informs the agent about an incoming chat request. This is also configurable. For example, instead of just sending the chat to an agent, you may want to allow the agent to be able to accept or reject an incoming request. You may also want to set a timeout. So if an agent doesn't respond within a certain amount of time, then the routing engine will send it to the next available agent. The next key capability we have is Conversation 360. This term is really just used to simply describe the unified view an agent has to the conversation and all the related information. For example, if a chat has come across one of the channels, the experience will show the account or contact the conversation is associated with. All the open cases, the pre-chat survey, the location information, the entire timeline of customer activities are all available in that view. We also have quick replies because a lot of organizations want to standardize the way agents greet customers or reply to standard queries. We also have consult and transfer. For transfer, we have two main cases. In the call center industry, it's typical to have a high attrition rate, right? So this essentially means that you may have some junior agents that need help from more seasoned call center veterans. For that scenario, we have the consult capability, where the junior agent can bring in another agent and start a multi-party chat with the customer. In this way, multiple agents will help the customer resolve the issue. Next is the transfer. What we've seen is that more often than not, when a customer calls in with a problem, it's in fact usually 2 or 3 different problems. But the agent handling the initial problem isn't a subject matter expert in the second and third problem. So instead of asking the customer to submit a different request, the agent can route the customer to a different agent or queue after the initial problem is resolved. Also part of the empowering agents topic is the multi-session experience. With omnichannel engagement, we're providing that through the browser instead of a thick client that has to be installed on your desktop. This essentially allows agents to work on different conversations at the same time. We can also include other existing line of business apps into this multi-session experience if they're browser-based. So gesture-based navigation means the user controls the multi-session experience. A shift click opens a new session to work on a chat or a case in a separate session. A control click opens a tab in the same session so that related items can be kept part of the same session. Let's take a quick look at what this multi-session experience looks like. This demonstration is about 5 minutes. It also includes chatbot integration. In this demonstration, we'll review the multi-session capabilities of Dynamics 365 Omnichannel Engagement. We'll also take a look at how Azure-based chatbots enhance the customer experience in this modern contact center solution. We start off with John Doe signing on to the Dynamics-based customer portal where he'll submit a support request related to some issues he's having regarding his new printer. You see, in this scenario, we've configured the system to treat all support requests made through the portal just as it would any other channel. In this way, agents will be able to selectively pick these cases from a queue of requests when they have availability. So after John's signed on, he goes to the My Support tab to create a new case. As you can see, the integrated knowledge base is making suggestions based on keywords he's using in his case title. John's a little frustrated, so he ignores the suggestions from the system and continues to open a support case. Once he's submitted his case, he notices the chat icon on the bottom right. So we've configured this chat widget to detect whether or not a customer is signed in or not. And in this scenario, we're providing a chat bot, or really a virtual agent, to these authenticated users. This chatbot is built on the Microsoft Azure Bot Framework and is integrated with the Common Data Service. This allows us to train the bot by allowing it to query the Common Data Service to essentially self-serve the customer. As soon as the chat is initiated, you can see Virtual Agent Bob is here to help. The chatbot responds to John with a series of questions as it narrows down potential knowledge base articles that may address the problem. Ultimately, after a few questions and answers, the virtual agent provides a hyperlink to the knowledge base article it considers as the best fit. John quickly skims the article and decides that he really would like to speak to a human agent. The chatbot recognizes this request to escalate and sends it to the appropriate queue with live agents. Meanwhile, Bert the human agent is viewing his dashboard and decides to pick the case John Doe just submitted from the list of open work items. The work item is then assigned to Bert and opens in another tab in his home session. As you can see, Bert can work this case just as a normal record within Dynamics 365. But remember, he has the ability to temporarily leave this home session and take on other requests that may be coming in from other channels. We'll see this shortly as he receives the escalated chat request from John. Bert decides to search the knowledge base and sees that the system is automatically recommending a particular article based on the description of the support request. He quickly reviews the article and decides this is a good article to email to John. The email opens in another tab within the home session so Bert can review all of the details before sending. And with just a few clicks, John has sent the email. As Bert goes back to the case record, he receives an incoming chat request from John. This is the escalated chat request from the virtual agent. As soon as Bert accepts the request, a new session tab opens on the left, and because this is a chat request, he's presented with full chat capabilities, a history of the conversation with the chatbot, and John's contact records, recent cases, and a full timeline of activities associated with John. Keep in mind that an agent's capacity is completely configurable. In other words, Bert can work as many chats, SMS requests, and cases he has capacity for, and each of them will open up in a separate session on the left so he can quickly switch between them as he's waiting for responses or performing research or other related activities. In our scenario, since Bert is waiting for the customer to respond, he decides to quickly close the case he was previously working on. On the left, the blue indicator in the Session tab shows that John has just sent his response. So this concludes our quick overview of the multi-session experience for the new Omnichannel Engagement app for Dynamics 365. Thank you. Transitioning to the solution agility topic, it's all built on the Power Platform, so all the capabilities provided by the platform is available to you if you need to tweak or add new functionality to meet a specific business need. And as we discussed earlier, we have chat widgets that are completely configurable. We provide authentication on any website. Other items that are configurable include quick replies, custom presence options, routing rules, capacity modeling, and so forth. Let's take a look at how we would manage and configure those items. Since Omnichannel Engagement adds to the Dynamics 365 customer service app, you also have those capabilities. For those of you that are familiar with customer service, you know that it includes things like case and contact management, business process flows, service level agreements, timeline of activities, associated documents, and so forth. All of these are available. You're just adding omnichannel capabilities to provide a complete modern customer experience solution. Along with all the capabilities provided by Dynamics 365 Customer Service and the Power Platform, Omnichannel adds channels and a configurable capacity-based work distribution model. It also adds queue management and rule-based routing. So when a conversation gets started by a customer, in order for the conversation to get routed correctly, an organization will configure routing rules to specific queues and assign agents with subject matter expertise to those specific queues. Not only that, we provide the capability to set capacity of individual agents. Because, for example, if you're a new agent, you may only be able to service one conversation at a time. However, if you're an experienced veteran, you may be able to handle several conversations and maybe even a few cases. So this flexibility of our capacity-based workflow distribution engine allows you to fine-tune how agents are utilized in the contact center. Let's take a quick look at the administrative capabilities of Dynamics 365 Omnichannel Engagement. In this demonstration, we'll review the administrative capabilities of Dynamics 365 Omnichannel Engagement. We start off in the Omnichannel Administration app. As you can see, it's a separate app just for administrators of the Omnichannel experience. You can see on the left all of the options here. I've got channels, I've got queues, work streams, and so forth. So let's consider the chat channel to start with. Here you can see I've configured two chat widgets. In our scenario, I've defined the bot chat to initiate for only authenticated users. The portal chat widget is for unauthenticated users, and it's serviced by live agents. Let's take a look at how that portal chat widget is configured. On the right, you see that Dynamics provides you with the code snippet that is used for the chat widget on the portal. The chat widget connects to a work stream. We'll come back to that in a minute. If I click on the Design tab, it takes me to all of the branding options I have available, as well as the specified operating hours when I want my chat to appear. In our scenario, I have the chat widget showing only during normal business hours, and my chat bot is available 24/7. Here you can see I've defined a pre-chat survey for this chat widget. In our scenario, I've configured it to require the user to enter their name and topic of interest. Email is optional. This pre-chat survey is also optional, but just know that this feature can be very helpful in directing requests to the proper agent. We'll see a little later how these values are used by the routing engine. We also have the SMS channel, which we won't demonstrate this for you today, but just know that you define it similarly as the chat channel by providing it a particular work stream. Next, let's talk about a very interesting channel in my opinion. It's the CDS entity channel. Here, I'm defining certain entities like cases or leads or even custom entities and routing them to agents to work on. For example, if I click on Incident, you can see that I've configured this channel to attach to the CDS entity workstream. And as we described earlier, because Dynamics 365 is built on the Power Platform, I have all of the extensibility features available to me. And in this case, I've used Microsoft Flow to build a very simple workflow to detect when a case is created, and if it originated from the portal, send it to a workstream within Omnichannel Engagement so that agents can work with it. Let's edit the flow so you can see what's happening here. There are only a few steps. So first, Or we're going to look for a case when it's created in my Dynamics instance. Second, we're going to check to see if it's originating from the web. And then thirdly, we're going to send this information to the defined workstream. As you can see, this is a simple workflow, but as you can imagine, this tool can support some pretty complex scenarios if you need it to. Now back to omnichannel administration. Let's take a look at workstreams. I'll open up the live chat workstream. So basically a workstream is tied to a particular channel, and here I have it connected to the live chat channel. And each conversation that comes into this workstream is going to consume 30 points of an agent's capacity. Other items that are important here is the work distribution mode. We have two modes, push and pick. Commonly, you'll have the push model in live channels such as chat so that agents can get these requests immediately. Pick is commonly used where you're routing cases or other entities and you want the agent to select these off of a queue. This is how we have the CDS entity workstream configured in our scenario. Here you can see I can configure whether to just force the chat request onto the next available agent or allow them to accept it with either a timeout or a reject button. Next, the allowed presence area defines that only agents with these presence states will receive requests. Here you can see they might be busy, but if they still have capacity, they will get these requests. But if they've set themselves as do not disturb or some other custom presence like out to lunch, they won't get requests. Lastly, we have routing rules. I'll open up the billing rule item. And as you can see, this will send everything that comes into this workstream to the billing queue if the condition I've set is true. And as you can see, I've set up a simple condition that looks for topic to be billing. Where is that variable coming from? The pre-chat survey. So now you can see the real power of the pre-chat survey and how it can really help you in your work distribution. Now when I click on billing queue, you can see I have a list of users assigned to this queue. If I click on Bert, you can see the setting that will decide what capacity Bert has. And in our scenario, you can see Bert has up to 500 points of capacity. And since each chat is taking up 30 points, this means Bert's workday can get pretty hectic with almost 17 chats. Lastly, you can see that Bert is assigned these particular queues. In a real scenario, you'd probably set up a specific subject matter expert and assign them to associated queues. So there are many other settings here on the left that we won't have time to cover today, but just to quickly hit on some of the areas on the left, you can configure quick responses, custom presence, supervisor dashboards, operating hours, geolocation, data masking, and other options that will collectively define how your omnichannel engagement app will operate. So this completes our quick overview of the administrative experience for the new omnichannel engagement app for Dynamics 365. Thank you. Let's move on to insights through artificial intelligence. A modern contact center lets you quickly discover areas that need attention, whether it's reviewing agent performance based on customer sentiment, or identifying emerging trends of a specific problem, or identifying workload-related items like average handle times. These are all important metrics and should be available real-time to agents at an individual level, but more importantly to supervisors at an organizational level. Let's take a look at what the supervisor experience looks like. So for the supervisor experience, we have real-time health tracking. As a supervisor, you have three main responsibilities. First, you need to make sure your customers are having a positive experience with the contact center. Second, you need to make sure your agents are productive, and if your agents need help, you can join the conversation to assist when needed. And third, you need to ensure that the contact center as a whole is meeting the key performance metrics defined for success. So to meet these three key items for supervisors, we have built-in health tracking. We have sentiment analytics to understand real-time how the conversation is going. We have monitor mode and escalation capabilities. Not only that, we have historical reports and insights to determine trends of how the conversations are being handled. And since all of the transcripts and sessions are being stored in the Common Data Service, this information can be mined by Power BI to provide industry standard KPI metrics, as well as providing the capabilities to build your own dashboards and reports as necessary. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these capabilities. In the short demonstration, we'll review the supervisor experience of Dynamics 365 Omnichannel Engagement. In this demonstration, we'll review the supervisor capabilities of Dynamics 365 Omnichannel Engagement. We start off with Samuel, who is a contact center supervisor. He's reviewing his omnichannel conversation dashboard that's providing him current status of all of the active conversations in the system. Behind the scenes, Azure Artificial Intelligence is doing a text analysis of these conversations and is providing an individual sentiment score. The sentiment score ranges from very positive to very negative based on the type of dialogue coming from the customer. Samuel is using the sentiment score to monitor real-time just how satisfied his customers are with the level of service they're receiving from his agents. For now, he doesn't see any negative indicators coming back from the sentiment analysis, but Samuel will continue to monitor the dashboard, and we'll see how that situation changes here shortly. So let's now switch to Tom Lee, a customer chatting with Bert, one of our live agents. He's letting Bert know that he's not happy with the troubleshooting guides he's received, and he's very frustrated. Since Azure Artificial Intelligence is analyzing the chat text, it's going to quickly identify that this conversation is heading toward a negative sentiment. Now let's return to Samuel and the Omnichannel Conversation dashboard to see if he's able to detect the negative trend of this chat. Within seconds, Samuel sees that there is a negative rating for customer sentiment, and he decides he needs to monitor the situation more closely. Perhaps this is a coaching opportunity for Bert. Samuel selects the conversation and clicks on Monitor, which brings up the chat session with Tom Lee. As a supervisor, now Samuel can silently monitor the ongoing conversation. Neither the agent or the customer knows Samuel is monitoring at this point. But in our scenario, Samuel wants to let the agent know that it's okay to escalate, so he joins the conversation by clicking on Join Chat. The minute Samuel joins the chat, all the parties are informed of this. However, the initial messaging mode is internal, indicated by the orange background. This allows agents and supervisors to have conversations without sharing them with the customer. Samuel uses the internal chat to check in with Bert and offer his assistance. And in our scenario, it looks like Bert is more than happy to allow Samuel to take over this conversation. Samuel does this by clicking on Public. This switches the messaging mode so that now he can interact with the customer. Samuel does his best to turn this conversation around, and in short order, Tom Lee is now a satisfied customer. Samuel returns to his dashboard, and as you can see, the sentiment score for this conversation has changed accordingly. Now let's show some even more powerful analytical tools to help Samuel understand the performance of his call center. Samuel is bringing up 2 additional dashboards that help him review historical key performance indicators related to conversations and customer sentiment. The dashboards you see here are built with Power BI, a powerful business intelligence tool that enables users to create and share insights real time. Let's take a look at how Power BI and Dynamics 365 is seamlessly integrated to provide even more capabilities to our call center supervisors. The Chat Insights dashboard shows all of the standard call center industry KPIs, such as conversations, what's the average handle time, what the escalation rate is, queues with the most volume, abandoned chats, average wait time, and all the KPIs across the different queues. Each of these charts can be interacted with to drill down into even more granular information. Now let's take a look at the Omnichannel Sentiment Insights dashboard. This dashboard shows average sentiment score, how many were positive, how many were neutral, how many were negative. Not only that, you can see the correlation of incoming chats over time and how they're trending. Now, in our scenario, Samuel is looking for coaching opportunities for his agents. So he's paying special attention to the average sentiment pulse by agent section. This graph shows important performance information over time. And as you can see, Samuel can hover over this graph to get detailed information for each agent. The interactive nature of this dashboard allows him to get just to the information he's looking for. He can even drill into a Power BI report to get more granular insights by filtering on specific data. As you can see, he can filter on time frame, queue, or even specific agents. Here, he's interested in Bert's performance, so he filters just on Bert to get all of his metrics. So this completes our quick overview of the supervisor experience for the new Omnichannel Engagement app for Dynamics 365. Thank you. So to wrap this section up, those were the 4 pillars of our modern customer experience. We demonstrated the omnichannel experience with chat and bot integration. We showed the agent and supervisor experience, along with the extensibility and service management, and last but not least, the intelligence capabilities for real-time sentiment and historical analysis, all supported with Azure and the Power Platform. To summarize this session on improving the customer experience with federal services, we have 4 recommendations. First, centralize all customer contact-related systems on the Microsoft Government Cloud. This will improve the usability and reliability of digital services. Second, leverage the Microsoft Enterprise Platform and its inherent feedback loops to capture digital signals, to connect and synthesize that data, and then use the feedback captured to continually improve customer satisfaction. Next, leverage the Microsoft Government Cloud-based Contact Center to improve access via omnichannel services. No matter where government customers are, via online, the web, or in person, they should have a consistent experience across all channels. Lastly, leverage the Microsoft platform and its unified set of FedRAMP accredited productivity and business application and customer experience technologies to break down barriers and increase citizen communications. A final thought would be this. By leveraging the technologies of the Microsoft Government Cloud for your customer experience transformation, you can invest once, yet lay the foundation for additional transformational areas. This reduces the cost and time associated with these efforts and accelerates the return on investment. These factors will all contribute towards modernizing and thriving as an agency under today's budgetary and security and technological pressures. So that wraps up the main part of the session today. There are a few more slides left just to talk about next steps and other links to provide further information. If you'd like to try out the capabilities we demonstrated today, just go to trials.dynamics.com to start your 30-day trial of Dynamics 365. This will also give you access to Power Apps and Flow. Next, once you've signed up, go to the admin portal and go to Billing and then Purchase Services to start a free trial of the chat services we demoed today. And then lastly, for more detailed recommendations, download the Improving the Federal Customer Experience with Microsoft Government Cloud white paper located at the link shown here. In the appendix of that white paper, there are other resources you might find interesting. So that concludes our virtual session. I thank you for your time today, and I hope it was helpful.